While we're waiting just a couple more minutes, anybody use Screencastify? Heard of it? Use it? We'll be recording today's session using it so that I can post it out on the website so you guys can go back and watch it later if you need to or anything like that. I find that it's helpful, especially when I get to rolling along with things. So.
That ain't what breaks your app was.
Huh?
That's not what breaks your app.
No.
Okay. I want to make sure.
QuickTime is what broke my Apple, which is why I'm using the Chromebook today. So I carry 2 laptops with me just in the case when I'm doing presentations like this at conferences. So if something goes awry, I got a backup. So today we're using a Chromebook to do everything. Yay.
Is Screencastify an extension?
It is an extension that adds in, and then it automatically saves your video to your Google Drive.
Does it create a folder automatically for you?
I can't remember if mine's in a folder or if I got mine set up to just save it.
Screencastify.
Yeah.
I have a bit of an issue. I use
How much does that
of like my computer making a lot of noise.
He said
Like it uses a lot of processing power goes to the fan starts running. Do you have any way around that?
What kind of computer are you using?
Dell Chromebook.
Really? I haven't ran into that with mine. But maybe take your sensitivity of your microphone down some and see if that helps. So are we good to show your stuff, Denise? Then maybe take the 2015 and show what we're doing there? Okay. I may pull that spreadsheet up then and just show it. Just to show some capabilities. Now you're the expert. You're supposed to be up here. So. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I had to shut the door because I tend to be a little bit loud. So if you can't hear me in the back, let me know, and I'll make sure I talk even louder for you. So my name is John. I work with NCTies. We are the ones that provide school connectivity to all the school districts in North Carolina. We provide your internet access, make sure that you can get to the internet, as well as make sure you can get to Google. For us, when you go across our pipes, across our bandwidth, we have a direct link to Google Apps. We currently have, I'm not sure if it's a 10 gig link or what now. We were at a 10 gig link and they were talking about upgrading it because of so much is being pushed across it. So many schools as well as universities that use NCREN are using Google Apps. So my email address, after today, if you're running into issues, you need help with a Google formula, spreadsheet, form, whatever the case is, let me know. I can work with you on it. Did a class yesterday, had somebody share a sheet with me last night. We're working on getting that fixed for them based upon some different types of things. My phone number's up there. I will go ahead and tell you, I don't get to use the phone very much. I'm on the road all the time. This week I'm here somewhere. I'm somewhere else next week, 3-4 different areas next week as well. So for me, I schedule meetings. I'm in my office 1 to 2 days a week in which it's scheduled meetings back to back to back to back. But I'm there. I'll work with you. We'll get things scheduled and be able to work with you on it. The goo.gl, that is a link to a training site that I've got put together, different presentations. There's some videos out there, a lot of different types of things. I'll also have this presentation posted out there. It's not there yet, but you will see NCTies 2015, the session that I did yesterday, the PowerPoint presentation, or excuse me, Google presentation is out there already for that. And I'll post this one out there as well with the Google Spreadsheet formulas area. So, is your school district using Google Apps? How many of you are already using Google Apps with your school district? Great. Right now in North Carolina, traditional school districts, we have 82 school districts that are using Google for their email, as well as Google Documents and things along those lines. Now, there's even more than that are districts that are not necessarily using Google for their email, but they're using it for using Google Docs, Google Sites, whatever the case may be that you may be using. If you're not sure, contact your technology department. They can make sure that you can get logged in. You also, how many of you have a personal Gmail account? You've got a Google Docs there as well. Now, the difference with your Google Docs in your personal account, you only have 15 gig of space, unless you're like me and you purchase additional space from Google each year. Now, the other side of it, if you're in your education account, you have an unlimited amount of space in your educational accounts to be able to upload files, folders, whatever the case, to Google Drive. So you're not limited to the Google Drive documents format anymore. You can upload other things to it and have an unlimited amount of space. You're also, the one limit you are limited to is a single file size that you upload. Anybody know what size that is? It's actually higher than 2 gig. You can now upload up to a 5 terabyte file. I don't have a hard drive that big, so I can't upload anything that size. But you can actually have up to a 5 terabyte size file now inside of your Google Drive.
Your personal? Not your school.
Huh?
Your personal?
Not in your personal. Personal, you have 15 gig of space. In the work side or your Google Apps for Education side, you have an unlimited amount of space. Now, in your personal side, if you convert your documents to Google Docs file format, you do have an unlimited amount of space. It's those Windows files or your pictures or Microsoft files that you don't convert take up space in your personal drive.
Is that unlimited for the mailbox as well?
No. Mailbox is still limited to 30 gig in the Apps for Education currently. Yes, sir.
So we've been having some trouble getting YouTube through. They turned on some search filters. And I know that if you put videos in Google Drive, it'll render them.
Mm-hmm.
It uses the same. It looks exactly like YouTube. Do you know what the rate limiting on that is? So that if I was going to try to use that with kids, is it limited by number of views if I share it, or is it total bandwidth for the day on the account?
I don't know of any limits with it.
It happens. Because
Okay.
I did it one time. We put in audio recordings and we had QR codes and parents went along to access them. And all of a sudden came up and said, this file's been accessed too many times.
I'll have to find out. For me, the only videos that I store in mine are ones that I'm working on.
Okay.
And then I dump them out to YouTube for people to view. So Google Apps has all the nice little things that we can do. We've got Google Drive that we can replace Microsoft Office with. Now, how many of you have completely gone away from Microsoft Office? Got a few. Wonderful. I don't use Microsoft Office myself, okay? Everything I do is on Google Docs. Now, 98% of what I do is on Google Docs. There's that 2% of things that I do have to do with Microsoft Excel. Now, that's getting less and less now with the new Google Sheets. The old Google Sheets, spreadsheets, you had a limit of 400,000 cells. The new Google Sheets, we actually have an unlimited amount of space that we can actually use. I have not hit the limits on the new one, so it's showing me, yeah, we do have an unlimited type of space. But Google Drive has all the different types of things that you want to use. Now, for today, we're going to use Google Spreadsheet. So this is a down and dirty 45-minute session on Google Formulas. I could easily take Google Formulas and make it a half-day class. Okay. Now, I use Google Formulas a lot. I do all types of formulas, all types of different types of things. Now, today's documents are posted out at this share. You can go make your own copy of the spreadsheet that I've got out there for you to be able to see the formulas, see the different types of things. We're going to go look at it. We're going to look at it, see the different types of formulas, and then I'm going to show you some other documents that I've worked with a couple other school districts to show you how we use formulas to do some different types of things that you may not know that you can do. Now, Google Formulas, yes, it does just about everything that Excel does. Okay? There are a couple of formulas, no, I can't quote them off the top of my head, that don't work inside of Google Spreadsheets. But everything that I need to do, and I'm a power user of spreadsheets, okay? Everything that I needed to do, I can do in Google Spreadsheets. Now, especially with the new sheets, the count ifs function, to where if it equals this and it equals this, then tell me this, now works with the new Google Spreadsheets. The old Google Sheets, you had to go a roundabout way to get it to work with that. But the new Google Sheets will do a count ifs function. That saved my life with the new version, okay, with some documents that I've been working on. All right, I'm not one to bore you with a PowerPoint or Google presentation, so we're out of it. We're going live. So I've told you guys that there's a folder. Everything that I do is in Google Drive. So for me especially, I use a Mac. It stays at the office normally, unless I come out and doing presentations at conferences. It's in my bag. Today I'm using a Chromebook to do my actual presentation and doing the recording with it. Everything that I do is in Google Drive. Now as well, when I work with a school district to convert to Google Docs or to Google Apps for Education, I no longer, of course we're going to have an error. Everybody's online. I no longer accept Microsoft Office documents from folks. I require them to share it with me as a Google Drive attachment, Google Drive document, whatever the case. So I've got thousands of documents that people from all across North Carolina, all across the U.S., all across the world that have shared with me that we've worked on, including videos as well, as you see there. So we've got all kinds of things that are out there. Now, when you're doing formulas, this is the document that I've shared with you guys that you can access, make a copy of. This is some generic data, fake data on some students, okay? No, it's not real or anything like that. Now, you'll see several different types of things that we're doing inside of here. How many of you use Google Forms? Okay? So I did a class yesterday on Google Forms Advanced Routing, okay? How you can create a form, turn around and create another form and have them all linked together with different types of ways to do that. Well, to do that, we create unique IDs, which I'm going to show you those here in just a few minutes. You'll see that build a unique ID over on the side. We're going to circle back to that here in just a second. For me, I like to count things. I'm a numbers person, okay? I like math. I'm a numbers person. As well, I like to be able to know, okay, how many people do I have for what? We could go through and count each individual person. I want to know how many male and female there are. I could go through and count it. I can go to my class level. I can count those. That's fine. But wouldn't it be a lot better if we just had it automatically count them for us? Well, of course. So we can have formulas to do those types of things. So here I've just got a little counting sheet that goes through and does these different types of things. With it, you'll see that I've gone up here and I've told it, okay, I need to pull all of my unique majors. How many of you are familiar with the unique formula? This one's a pretty basic way to find out how many uniques you have, or only pull the unique options that you've given people. So here, I've told it, go find all the uniques. Well, with it, I have to tell it where to get my data. 90% of the time, when people get this wrong, what they've done, I'm going to just sort of blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it. You'll notice that I've told it, okay, I want you to go pull my uniques. Let me edit this again. And I've told it E to E. Well, I know all of my data is over on this other sheet. It's in the E column, but it's not working. It's not pulling the correct data. Well, the reason is because I've told it to pull it from the E column, but not the proper sheet to go pull it. Anytime you're pulling data across worksheets, you need to make sure you put the sheet name, and then you're going to put a bang in there, the exclamation point, to signify that you're going to a different sheet. Now, one thing that I like to do is I rename my sheets. You've created a form. It automatically comes in as form space responses space 1 now. Okay? I go in and I take out my spaces. I don't like to have the spaces in there because 9 times out of 10, when I'm doing lookups or anything like that, I'm hand keying it in, and if anybody's a programmer, what gets you all the time? That one space that you left out somewhere. So I go take my spaces out. You'll see that my class data here, I've taken the space out. Now, if you don't take the spaces out, you've got to put the quotes around it. You go in and you put quotes around your sheet, and then we can easily hit enter and it pulls that data. Now here it's telling me I got an error. I used the double ones instead of the single. Let it know that it's a single, not the double quotes. And then it'll pull in my unique values. If additional values get added in over on that sheet, it's automatically going to add them in. Now, when you're looking up data, you want to pay attention to the cells that you're pulling info for. You'll see that I'm pulling the entire column, E to E. Now, if I wanted to, I could go over here to the class data and tell it, okay, which one was I using there? Majors. Yeah, y'all will like my naming convention here in a few minutes. I'm going and I'm telling it to pull my majors column. The reason I'm telling it E to E is to go all the way down the page. If you don't signify to go all the way down the page, it stops at the area that you tell it. So if I go back to my counting, and I tell it to go from E1 to E4, you'll see that I just lost some of my data. Okay? Not 4, E4. You'll see that I lost some of my data. Let me undo some of this stuff I've messed up.
What's the continue, or we have to worry about that yet?
We don't have to worry about the continue yet. I'll explain that to you, though. So if I tell it just to go to E3, you'll see that it no longer does it get all of my unique values. Okay? But if I go back and I tell it all the way down the column, you could put your E1 in there, or you could start it at E2, whatever the case may be. If you hand type in your headers, you don't have to tell it to go all the way down the page with that. Just start below it. Now, with this, you'll notice she asked about the continues. You'll notice that it says equals continue A221. It's telling it that I'm continuing down the page to gather your data. Okay? It's gathering the data and it's going down the page. Now, if there was other things that were down below it that I had, like maybe I had another row down here and it tried to go into that space, it would start giving me errors saying, I can't go any further because you've got other data. Do you want me to overwrite it? Yes, sir.
On the unique, it's pulling unique of the column E of what's unique there. That's the only key.
Correct.
Can you do multiple keys on the unique?
As in?
Column E and column D.
So what you would do is do them in two separate columns. You can mash them together to make your formula even more elaborate and everything. You can also tell it, okay, for the unique, I want to pull the uniques and I also want to sort them.
So in the column E, if you have 5 physics, it's only going to count the unique 1 physics.
Correct. Correct. So here, you see that I'm doing the uniques, and if I go back to my class data, I've got more uniques that are out there. Now, if I had physics 1 and then I had physics 2, they're going to be uniques. That is correct. So I can also say I was not pulling my headers here. I could also add a sort in here so that it would sort my data alphabetically. By default, it automatically knows I want to do it ascending order. You could tell it to be descending order if you wanted to. That way, maybe I'm going through and I want it to know exactly alphabetize the names. Whatever the case may be, I could alphabetize it. Okay? There's another conference that I work with that we take everything and it's on a Google document. Registration's on a Google document, everything. When we go through and we have to print the name badges, we have to print certificates, everything like that, years past, we would actually have to go through after we printed them and put them in alphabetical order and everything. We don't do that anymore. We use formulas, we sort it, and then do the mail merge, and everything's done directly inside of a Google document. Saves us 3, 4, 5 hours worth of time. Now, I'm going to undo that because my major was actually my top thing there. Now, another little formula that I like to do is the counts. Now here, this one is an array formula. Does anybody understand array formulas? Know what they are? No, yes. So, I could easily tell it to do a count for me. If we look over here at the seniors, we'll go right here. So right here, I'm on E6 over there, and I've told it to do a count if. Count if the data equals what I say it does. So if class data column C equals 3 dot space junior, then I want you to count it. And it counts and it tells me there's 6 there. Okay? Now, I have to go to each one of these, so that's in my junior category. I then have to go up here and type that one, type that one, type that one. And I get all of them in there. I have to manually type them. An array formula tells it, okay, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing further down the page. So I want you to go ahead and go all the way down. So what I've told it here, if you look at it from the standpoint without the array formula, I've told it to go through and count if class data E:E equals A3. And then it would go through and do that count just like it did over for the juniors. But because I told it to do an array formula, it now, when you look at it, it goes all the way down the page. Now, my formula says class data E to E. I want you to go look over at the class data spreadsheet. Look at the E column. Okay? Now, in the E column, I want you to match what's in A3. And I want you to count that for me. Make sense so far? Now, because I told it the next A to go all the way down, its next one says it's going to go down to B4, and it's going to say, okay, whatever you find in A4, match it to E over on the class data. So it automatically does that for me and goes on down the page. So that I'm not hand keying in each formula, it automatically does it for me all the way down the page. Yes, sir.
That's good. How do you know which formulas? So you're basically, I'm assuming if you just had that count if with that key there, it would say it's an error.
Correct.
Right? So without the array formula, you can't have a range for a key.
So if I was to take out the array formula, and I just took out the A, and I just had that there.
No, I mean, if you left.
If I left the A in there, it's just going to do the first one. Because that's all it knows to do.
How do you know which formulas allow ranges on keys?
That allow the array formula? There is no secret sauce that I have found that tells what can be in an array formula. I've just had to go through and do trial and errors on the ones that I know and that I've worked with and tried. Like the new Google Sheets does not work with the split formula in an array formula. It's hateful. I wish they would fix it. The old Google Sheets would do it. The new Google Sheets won't. So that one goes all the way down the page and gets those different things for me. I go over to my D column. I've told it the same thing there to do my unique, and it pulls all of my uniques. You'll look. Counting is a big thing for us, okay? I'm working on a workshop. I'm working on putting together a Google Apps administration course for all the school districts in North Carolina. I've got to go through, I've got to find out how many people are interested first. I've sent out a survey. For you, you've sent out a survey to your parents. We've just had all these snow days. We want to know how many parents think that we should go to school on Saturday? How many think we should do makeup days, adding on days to the end of the school year, whatever the case? We can send this survey out, have it automatically tally all of these different types of things for us. So here, I'm telling it to count. Well, you'll notice down in E6, I've told it to just do a general count, and I've typed in the data there. Well, I have to type it exactly out if I go in here and do it. Now, if I was to actually just put in junior, it's going to say 0. Because if you were to look over at the spreadsheet, there's nothing that says just the word junior. Okay? Yes, sir.
Can you wildcard that?
You can. So, I know that I've got things that have the word junior in it. Or maybe that have the word senior in it. So if I go up here to the E4 or E3, you'll see that I'm telling it to go look at the word senior. And I'm putting star before and after and telling it to go look at that. Now, this is a wild card for me to tell it, okay, I don't care what's before senior and I don't care what's after senior. If you find the word senior, I want you to count it. Now, I could also tell it, just do NIOR, and it counts that as well. All the instances that it finds NIOR. Now, there's a problem there, okay? Junior and senior both have NIOR. If you paid attention and noticed, the count went up for it. Now, if I just add in the E to it, it then goes back down to my 6. So I've got that in there. Now, if you look at the freshman, I've done the same thing. Anywhere that has the word man in it, it's automatically just counting those. Well, in there's only one that has the word man in it for freshmen. Sophomores, I've told it, okay, I want you to do the count, but I want you to match what's in D5. So if D5 was to actually change, then it would automatically change that for me. Now, why is that important? Well, maybe if I go back over here and I tell it to sort, now that's now changed. Well, my junior still works, but that doesn't really match up anymore because I've hand typed it in. But this one here actually still works because it's matching up to what's in D5. Okay, so if I was to go back and change things around, it matches what's in the cell rather than where I've hand typed things in. So are you better to hand type it in, or are you better to tell it to look at reference in a cell? For me, 9 times out of 10, I'm better to tell it to reference a cell to pull the data for me. Okay? Well, that's great. We've got all those different types of things. I'm going to change this back, though, so that you guys that are making copies of it or whatever, we can do. Well, I slide over a little more. I've got the same type of thing over here. I've got my gender. I told it to do the unique. I want to find that. Well, I've also told it, okay, count unique, B2 to B. I've told it, okay, I want you to ignore the header line. I want you to go to the very next line. I want you to count the number of unique items that I have. Maybe I've got 1,000 unique items that I'm looking through. I want to know how many classes I'm actually doing for this conference. How many different name titles do I have? Yes, we could scroll down through the rows, whatever the case may be, but I can also do a little formula, tell it to count it for me. Account unique. Then we've got our count if, and then here I've got my count as well. So you can do those different types of options. Everybody with me so far? So let's throw this up a notch. Anybody familiar with filters? So you can write a filter to bring back data if it matches a certain type of thing. Okay? I use these when I'm doing form data that I want to print out and give to people. Okay? Well, if we look here, you'll see that I have a filter formula. I want you to filter the data that's on the class data from A to F if it matches in the C2 column to C, in the C column, if it matches C1. Now, my C1 there, we're going to talk about here in just a second, but maybe I want to change that to say if it equals star dot or star senior star, then it's still going to bring that up. Nope, not going to work for me. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like my wild card. So we'll just add that in there, 4.0 senior. And it pulls my data. Now that's hand keying it in. I don't like to hand key things in. I like to give people drop-down boxes to be able to do things. So those that are familiar with spreadsheets, you know that we can go up and we can do, let me zoom out here. We can do validations. So what I've done is in my C1, I've told it to go up and do a validation. And I've told it, okay, in the C column, I want you to actually pull that data from class data C1 to C33. That way I can easily, if I'm running a report, I can go choose, I want all the freshmen. And I can print this out. Or maybe I want to also go pull my sophomores. Print those out. Whatever the case may be, I can print those out. You can change it around as well. I can go change my validation, change my formula real quick, and then I can have all of my females and males, whatever the case may be. We can do all those different types of things very quickly and easily. Okay?
Can you multiple filter? I want female sophomores.
You can. I don't have one of those built here, but I can get with me and I can send it to you. I've done it before to where we do a multiple filter to be able to, okay, if they are a freshman as well as a female, then I want you to give me all of those. Or for your data managers, I need all the students that are in 4th grade and this teacher. Give me all of those students.
Would it be in the same formula, or would you have multiple formulas?
It would be in the same formula.
Same drop.
Yep. So you would just basically set up one here and then go over to the D or E column and tell it the other one. And then your formula, as long as they've populated both fields, it gives them all the answers that they need. But I do have one of those that we've done with someone. So I've also got this thing called my Purdy view. Okay? We have Google Forms, okay? It's inline, straight in line, all the data. Yes, sir.
So that validation does unique. That's how it pulls the label. Well, it gives you the drop-down choices by finding uniques.
Not uniques. It gives you all the data that it matched to that senior class
So
or
when you do that
whatever.
drop-down, though, it doesn't. It found all unique labels.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
what I meant by did a unique.
Yes,
to get
this
the
part
label.
finds the uniques.
So the validation, you give it a range, and then the drop-down becomes all the unique values.
You got it.
Okay.
It becomes the unique values because I gave it a range. I could give it a list of them as well and hand type in the list.
Right.
But if my range ever changes, I have to go back in and hand type those back in. So my Purdy view. We have a Google form. We go through, everything's in line. Well, we've got to print this out and have somebody physically sign it. Or we've got to print it out and put it in a file folder because it's something dealing with whatever the case may be. Field trip request. And we've got to print it out and put it in a folder or something along those lines. Well, we got to go back and we need to have that in a nice Purdy view to be able to print it. Yes, I call mine Purdy view. A lot of times I like that. Well, it's the same type of thing. Here, what I've done, though, is I'm telling it to pull my people. Well, if somebody was to have submitted multiple things, this would not work. So what I generate is a unique ID per person. Well, in this one, because I've got first names only, I may have 2 Alexes or 2 Seans or 2 Patricks or whatever the case may be. So what I've done is I've gone over here to my G column and I told it to create a unique ID for these people. Now, it's an array formula, so I'm telling it to go down the page. So if this was a Google form, it would constantly keep adding in these pieces for me. So I've mixed together several formulas to give me my data. The first one, I'm telling it, I want you to give me the left characters of the B column, B2 to B, because I started in the second row. I've told it to start with B2. Go all the way down the page. And then I've told it the number of characters that I want. I only want the first character, which tells me that you're male or female. Well, if I wanted to change that to 2 characters, I could change it to 2. And then I've got FE for female, MA for male. Well, that doesn't really keep it nice and clean for me, so I changed that back to 1. Now, I could do the same thing over here for the left column of C, which was my the grade. All of them were 1 for freshman, 2 for sophomore, 3 for whatever, and so on and so forth. Well, I could also change that. Instead of being a left, I want to pull the right characters, and I want to pull the last 2 characters in my sentence. I could put that in there, and then I'm getting the OR for senior or whatever the case would be for Alex. Now, for this one, I'm going to change it back to left because that just makes sense. Now, when I have Google Forms that I'm generating a unique ID for things, every form submission has a unique ID tied to it. Each line, I'm pretty sure people didn't hit submit at the exact same time. So you could use the timestamp. That timestamp, you could use it to bring in and build a unique ID. Now, you'll notice that I've got the and symbols in there, ampersand. Those give me concatenate. Those that use Excel, you know that you have to put concat at the beginning, that you want to merge multiple things together. Google Spreadsheets, I can just use an and symbol, and it's smart enough to know that I just want you to put these together. These little formulas, little words, whatever the case, I want you to put them all together. So then I've also told it, I want you to also put a hyphen in between the 2 pieces. I'm going to let that fix that so I can explain it a little better. I want you to put that hyphen in between them. So I've got ME dash Carl, and then I've told it to pull A2 to A, which is their first names. You can also use other formulas inside of here. I've got spaces in their names that I want to get rid of. So I can go in and tell it to use the substitute formula, and substitute will actually take out spaces. So for instance, if I was to take out this left, and I told it to use the C column, now I could actually go in here and tell it substitute, comma, space. I could tell it to run a substitute. Anywhere that it finds a space, I want you to eliminate that space and just slam it all together. So I hit enter. Now you'll notice that the 4 dot, there's no longer a space in between 4 dot space senior. It's now all smushed together. So you could take out the spaces if you're making unique IDs or whatever the case may be. Or you need to substitute anywhere that the word Sam is, I want to change it to Samuel. Things along those lines you can do. Any questions?
Why would you use that? Why wouldn't it be just faster to go like, okay, this guy or the first one is 0001, and then use the little corner thing and pull it down and then just give everybody the next number?
You could, but what's going to happen then when, that doesn't automatically work? So it's a form that data still keeps coming in. Data keeps coming down. Well, now you got to keep going back to your spreadsheet and keep dragging it down the page. Every time there's a new submission, you're going back, you're grabbing the little corner and keep going down your page to add the next number or whatever the case.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
But you can do that if you wanted to. But here we're automating the process.
Gotcha.
I'm all about automating it. I don't like to recreate the wheel. I don't want to go back in and do it 2 or 3, 4 times. I like for it to just do it and be done. So things that you can do. If I pull up my trainings, this is one that I'm working on, the Google Admin Workshop that I've told you guys about. It's a survey that I sent out. Things that you can do. All of this was defaultly created. Yes, I know there's a few names in here. That's okay. There's a J Wharf counts to where I've told it to go through, count all these different pieces up for me. Well, it automatically does all of these counts. So as soon as another submission comes in, it's automatically counting all these things. And then lo and behold, oh, I don't have the graphs on this one. It would give me graphs as well. Automatically adjusts my graphs if I have the graphs built into this as well. So they automatically adjust, whatever the case may be. And you'll notice I have GADs here. I've just told it those little formulas that I told you guys a few minutes ago so I could give my boss access to this data. He goes, he looks at the numbers. That's all he cares about. He don't care who's coming or who's not. He just wants to see the numbers to see how many people we're planning to have at this training. Now, other times that this could be real life used. I have this one. This one is, I'm working with a school district. It's a budget transfer. The school district, in order for somebody to have money moved from one pot to another, it has to be requested to move. Their fund manager has to approve it, and then it goes on to finance. So for this one, it says printout view. They wouldn't let me put Purdy view on this one. But it gives them the capability to go and print this out in a nice Purdy form to be able to put in the file cabinet to show. Now, we're doing data validations to where we can see when it goes approved. This is bogus data here. You see this one's test. It says approved, it's green. If it's not approved, it will go yellow and tell it where it's at in the process. So people can easily go and identify different types of things, and they can know, oh, did the fund manager approve, not approve, whatever the case may be. All of these are using those if statements. You asked about the multiple ifs earlier. This is one of those. If it's approved, and if it's denied or whatever the case, I'm telling it to do multiple types of things. So we can do those types of things there. But I'm using all the same types of filters. That one's not the filter one. I'll have to pull you the filter. I'm sorry. That was in multiple ifs to be able to do it. Now here, I've got the transfers. It's looking up that data, doing all the different types of things. Easily available to create. Now, one other that I want to show you guys, and I have permission. She's sitting over here. Pitt County Schools does a technology fest. They do a technology conference in which they put on inside the school district. Well, they have to send a report to the school telling how many people are planning to come, and then they send them a bill. So basically what we've done is we've built an invoice to be able to build here that they just go in when it's time to send all the invoices. They choose the school name. It populates all the data here, and then they can easily go to File, email it as an attachment to the principal that's got to pay for their lunch. That's mainly just to pay for their lunch there at the event. So if we were to actually, is there one that we can use that has some test data?
I know we got some teachers who have registered,
I don't know if
yeah.
anyone has,
Which one?
DH Conlon.
I don't know if anyone has actually.
So it goes in, it updates, and we see it's got that, and then it tells how much they owe at their school. They owe $15. I see we've got to make a couple of changes to it. But you can do things to do these different types of pieces of your puzzle. Maybe it's building a invoice system, whatever the case may be. Simple little formulas, you can do all these different types of things. Questions? I think I'm over, but... Oh, I still got 3 minutes. All right. So the way to get to the formulas, okay?
Yeah, and the train.
So if I go to More, I can go to the functions and go to More Functions, and this will take me to the website that has all of the functions or formulas that Google knows how to do. There are thousands of formulas that are out there that work. Pretty much all of the ones that you can do in Excel, we can do in Google Formulas.
How did you get to that? Sorry.
No problem. So inside of here, for me, because I'm zoomed in, I had to go to More. And then I can go to the Functions menu. Whatever that, Sigma or whatever it is. I can't ever remember the Greek characters. And then More Functions. And it brings up the web page that has all of them. You can search in here to see, okay, what do you want to do? What type of thing would you like to do? Well, you could put in an if, and it automatically narrows down all the if statement ones or whatever the case may be. I like to just type in the filter one because it gives me all the different filter options. Oh, well, there's filter, sort, and unique. There's your multiple conditions for the filter to give it multiple conditions, all the different types of things. We can also do sorts, sort the first column, the second column, and then the third column. The array formula. There's the array formula. This is only in Google. This will not exist in your Excel environment. It's only in Google Apps. There was one more I wanted to show you guys that's in here. Your VLOOKUPs, when you start getting into more elaborate things where you're comparing data from one sheet to another sheet, we do have the VLOOKUPs, we have HLOOKUPs, we have all the different lookups along those lines as well with the Google. Okay? When you're looking across a horizontal, so vertical and horizontal lookups.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really lost.
No, your horizontal lookups is an H lookup. So one other thing I want to encourage you to do, if you don't do this already. Now, you'll remember the uniques, the little small things. But when you start doing complex formulas, where you're doing large formulas that bridge a whole lot of things together, you're not going to remember them. Okay? So what I do is, this is my public cheat sheet. I've got other cheat sheets that I don't share. This is my public cheat sheet.
Money, right?
Huh?
That won't cost money.
Yeah. So my private cheat sheets, I actually link to the documents that I can reference myself to go look at because I got so many documents.
You hide these because you think people will so readily use them?
No. The ones the ones that I hide have a hyperlink in this document that take me to a Google spreadsheet that refreshes me to where I can see it. But I keep up with filtering or reg expressions or things like that. Reg expressions to where we're going in and we're telling it to split things. This is how you have to do a split if you have first name space last name in a cell and you want to keep it going down the page. I told you array formula doesn't work with the split command. You have to use this one right here to make it go all the way down the page. So I have a little cheat sheet to know how to do these different types of things. Yes, this is actually out on the training site. A link to this document's out there. And I've got several more that I want to add in there. And you can tell it to do duplicates. It goes down your page and looks up for duplicates and puts the word duplicate beside of it to let you know that you have duplicates and things like that. I cheat, okay? I'm not going to go through and look at them. I cheated. I'm going to run a little formula that's going to tell me, oh, this one's a duplicate, this one's a duplicate, this one's a duplicate.
I can't see you take the highlighter off of it. I can't.
Yeah. So this one here, I'd actually go all the way down the page with it.
Use an array formula
Yes.
with that? You would use an array
I'll put it in the
formula.
presentation and on the site too.
And you would use that in an array formula.
Correct. So thank you all. If you have any questions, let me know. Share your document with me. I'll help you out with it if I need to.
That you had up there the Z-scaler training, so that's what we use,
Mhm.
right? What is that? What is that actually like? So when we're logging on the computer and it says Z-scaler, and you keep clicking okay. What does
It's
that
the
mean?
content filtering
Okay.
for the school district that you guys are using. Now,
So
are you Charlotte Mecklenburg?
I am.
Okay.
So like Twitter's not working, and they say it has it's a conflict with Zscaler. Is that true? Kind of, sort of.
I'd have to look at the instance.
Okay.
We're actually in the process of doing the training and everything with Zscaler. We
Go ahead
had
and
the
turn
one
your
in Raleigh
computer on.
yesterday.
Gotcha.
It's not screwed in. You should
It's
just
not
be
a
able
big
to
deal. I
look.
was just somebody had just said that, and I didn't know. I didn't know if that was true.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can poke around and look and see. But
Email me.
I know they are scheduled to be at the training next week that we're doing in Burke County.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
Hopefully they'll get it resolved by then.
I hope so, because we had it, and then we don't have it. You know what I mean?
Thanks for this. I
Oh, no
came here freshman last year for the half day one.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. Got to play around with it a little bit. I was wondering, do you know if there's any way to
Is it that? Okay.
That
okay,
link
I took a
right
picture
there.
of that.
I'll
Okay,
I'll have it up online as soon as I get back downstairs.
Okay, so then, like I said, I took a picture of that with my iPad. So if I go to that, it is automatically taken to